Okay, so if I were to ask you, what does it mean to be a leader? What is that person like? You would probably respond to me with either a list of characteristics or personality traits that describes that person, and or you would name someone that embodies those characteristics and that we should all aspire to be like. Well, that's what we're going to focus on in this two-part series. We're going to talk about leadership archetypes, but it comes with a warning. It comes with a bit of pause and reflection. And so what I'm going to share is a couple of anecdotes. And this first anecdote actually happened a few years ago. I was working at an engineering and construction firm as a young female. In fact, I was the youngest leader in our company, and I was one of two female leaders in our company. And I had just really started out in management and sort of like working my way to middle and then eventually upper management. And so one night our company was throwing some sort of social event. I was at home that night, I couldn't make it, but later I heard that my boss and my mentor was talking about me to my colleagues and eventually my future employees. And he was really talking me up. He was singing my praises because he wanted them to like me. And so he was describing me a bit as a unicorn. And he was trying to be, again, very complimentary. But the words that he used, the words that I heard back to me were, Lindsay is a man inside a woman's body. Now, we're not going to take the time to fully unpack that today. We can save that for a different time. That's not for today. Again, he was trying to compliment me, and what he was trying to say is that I embody many of the characteristics that are typically thought of as masculine, or the traditional masculine archetype. And that means that I am direct, I'm competitive, I'm assertive, I always rise to like the leadership occasion, I take charge, I'm very, competitive and decisive and all of these other things. That make me sound very charming, I know. But I'm also very much a woman, and I do work in a male-dominated field. And by the way, I have no bones about that. I'm very much a girl's girl, and I fully embrace my femininity, and I actually enjoy being a woman working in a male-dominated industry because I think it gives me an edge. That said, because I embody these traditional masculine traits, and by the way, I was raised by an alpha male to be an alpha male, and it was quite effective. That also means that I don't embody what's traditionally thought of as feminine qualities. No one would ever describe me, for example, as nurturing or sensitive or even sweet. Again, I know, very charming. I'm also not emotive. I don't show a lot of emotions, and emotions and a lot of times scare me. Like when someone cries, I like go into freeze mode. I never know what to say or what to do. I'm always so impressed by those people who know exactly what to say and exactly what to do in those times of turmoil. Or watching someone break down, they sort of swoop in. I'm just like amazed that they can do that. Yes, some of those like basic human skills, those social skills 101, I had to learn. Even in my 20s, I found myself really struggling with those skills that probably come naturally to all of you. For example, on a Post-it note, I wrote down, what did you do this weekend? Yeah, and I used that Post-it note to remind me to ask my employees, what did you do this weekend? Yes, I know, I'm very, I'm the model of leadership. Because I was so task-oriented. I'm still very task-oriented. And so on Monday mornings, I was focused on, what are the deadlines this week? What clients have called? What emails came in? What is everyone doing? And I would start pretty much every conversation focused on the task rather than the person. I had to learn those basic social skills. And by the way, when I heard Lindsay is a man trapped in a woman's body, or a man in a woman's body, that reminded me of all of my shortcomings, my insecurities, because I know that by being direct and decisive, commanding, assertive, that I'm also intimidating and I'm not approachable. And my team was afraid to come to me a lot of times because they weren't sure how I was going to respond. And I hated that. I wanted them to be able to come to me and feel safe around me. And so I had to learn those social skills, how to have small talk and relate to people. And it took time, and I'm still very much working on it. But all of this is to say that those qualities that served me really well in my career also held me back. And so to define someone as this like leadership archetype or having these qualities might in a way isolate them and make them feel inferior. And if I'm a man in a woman's body, would that make my circumstances or my success less impressive? If I were any different, if I weren't a unicorn, does that mean I'm less impressive? And then what does that say about me? And then what should I live up to? And what should I be like and evolve into? And so, as we're talking again about leadership and what it takes to be a leader and defining a leader, be very careful. Be very careful with that. And now more than ever, we're talking about justice, equality, diversity, and inclusion. And so in the spirit of inclusion, just make sure that you're being inclusive. And it takes all different personality types, configurations, leadership styles to be an amazing leader and also to be successful. So just something to keep in mind, and we will continue talking about that next week. Again, it's a 2-part series. We'll go into a totally different facet next week, and I'll enjoy that with you. But in the meantime, if you have any comments or thoughts, I'd love to hear from you. So please drop them down below. Thanks, y'all.